I still remember the first time my family laughed at me. Really laughed. I was sitting at the dinner table, trembling inside, trying to tell them about the breakthrough I was working on. A way to harness the tiny, almost invisible world of bees to power entire ecosystems. My hands shook with excitement, a fire in my belly, imagining how this could change everything. But my father, my mother, hell, everyone just stared at me like I'd lost my mind. Beekeeping? My father scoffed, pushing back from his plate. That's just a silly hobby for old men who can't find real jobs. You're smarter than that. You're an engineer. You should be designing actual technology, not chasing insects. My mother shook her head, voice flat. You're never going to amount to anything with that nonsense. Just give it up before you embarrass the family even more. They said I'd fail. They called me a fool. Worse, they told me I was wasting my potential. But I didn't listen. Not then. I'd always been stubborn, too stubborn to let their doubts drown out my conviction. I knew what I was onto was real. So I kept working, hidden behind my lab in the garage, pouring every ounce of my mind and soul into my vision. A fusion of biotech, renewable energy, and ecological restoration, all rooted in beekeeping. Years passed. My work was a secret, in the shadows, until one day I cracked it. I managed to develop a bio-inspired energy system that used tiny hive structures, what I called eco-cells, to generate sustainable power, clean the air, even help restore barren lands. I patented it, protected it fiercely, and slowly the world caught on. The ecosystems I revitalized thrived. The barren fields turned green, the skies cleared, and communities that once watched their land die now flourished again. But I kept my roots, my home, close to my heart. I hadn't gone back, not because I didn't want to, but because I knew what they'd say. I had become something they mocked, an outsider, a beekeeper, like I'd suddenly traded my genius for a childish obsession. Until one day, I decided it was time to show them, to prove that their doubts had only been fuel for my fire. When I returned, it was in a way they wouldn't recognize. I arrived with a convoy of sleek eco-tech vehicles, a sprawling apiary buzzing with life, and a harvest of honey that shimmered like liquid gold. The land surrounding the old farm, once cracked and lifeless, had transformed. Where dust and despair once reigned, now thick forests stretched and streams sparkled with vitality. It was an ecological miracle. Their faces were classic. Shock, disbelief, pure incredulity. My father, who had once mocked me for dreaming about insects, stared at me as if I'd grown a second head. My mother squeezed her eyes shut for a second, as if trying to deny what her eyes were telling her. But then I did something I'd planned for years. I took them all to the main hive, an enormous shimmering structure that integrated biotech and living ecosystems. I watched their reactions as I explained how these beehives weren't just honey producers. They were tiny power stations, biocatalysts, regenerative engines. And then I asked, would you like to see what your disgraced daughter has really done? I led them into the hive. The air was alive, buzzing with purpose. Vibrant energy flowing through the chambers, the humming of thousands of bees working in unison, like the heartbeat of a new world. I told them how each hive was a microcosm of the ecosystems I'd rebuilt, how the bees were the tiny engineers of this revival. I showed them the data graphs, satellite images, ecological metrics that proved every claim. For a moment, silence. My father looked like he'd swallowed a stone. My mother's eyes glistened with tears, or maybe tears of shame, I couldn't tell. I saw something shift in them, a glimpse of realization, a crack in their mockery. Then I turned and said softly, This is what happens when you believe in something despite what everyone else says. I was dismissed as a crazy dreamer, a fool, but I refused to give up. I chased what I knew was right, what I knew this planet needs, what I knew I could build. I turned my obsession into a revolution. In that moment, I saw my father's shoulders sag, as if the weight of all those years of doubt finally pressed down. My mother reached out, hesitated, then touched my arm gently. "We were wrong," she whispered. "You've built something extraordinary. We should have listened." Their faces, strangers to my childhood home, became witnesses to my transformation. I had become proof that failure is just a stepping stone, that persistence and faith in your vision can turn ridicule into redemption. And as I looked at them, I realized something profound. Their rejection, their mockery, had only fueled my fire. All those years, I was told I was wasting my time. They were the ones who were truly blind. Because what I built was more than just ecosystems. It was a testament to resilience, to faith in the unseen, to the idea that even the most ridiculous dreams can change the world. Now I stand here not as the outsider they once dismissed, but as the architect of a new era. My success isn't just about ecological revival. It's about earning my place, about proving that persistence can transform even the harshest judgments into salvation. And I hope this moment of truth becomes their lesson too, that sometimes the greatest failures are just the next steps in disguise, that true innovation starts with daring to believe, even when everyone laughs. And that in the end, karma has an uncanny way of rewriting the ledger, delivering justice with honeyed wings and green-bladed dreams. Because I've learned this, the universe listens, especially to those who refuse to stop dreaming, no matter how loud the doubters roar. And when you finally stand in your truth, those doubts turn to dust, and the world finally sees what you were born to be.